This is dedicated to all my beautiful queens, all my beautiful ladies out there. She's a queen. Go queen. You got it, girl. She's a queen. You better represent. Go queen. Go queen. Go. She's a queen about her business. Queen. Working hard on a mission. Yeah. Head high, purpose driven. Purpose driven. Crown will never tilted. Queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go. Represent. You're a queen. You're a queen. Oh.
So thank you guys for joining another episode of the Q Chat podcast. So today I have a very special guest, Nola Bourne. You guys know it's all about 504, and her name is Miss Trina Lafargue, and she is a NOLA-based actress, and she's appeared in several interesting projects. You guys have probably seen her. She's been in Disney films, even a few Tyler Perry projects. So I'm going to go ahead and just give her the floor right now. We're just going to have a great chat on her career and also some things to inspire you guys that tune in who may want to follow in her path. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm grateful to be here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm so happy to talk with you. So I just wanted to dive in. You know, like I said, I looked at your body of work and I was like, wow, like this is just really cool. So what got you started in acting in the first place?
I started in high school theater, like a lot of people, I guess. Didn't really fit in anywhere. And then I stumbled upon the Theater Kids and was like, okay, y'all are cool. I can be myself. Let's see what this is about. So I got into a little theater class, and the first play I auditioned for, I booked a lead role. And there were only 2 characters in the play. So it's like, they hand me this book of lines this thick. And they're like, you booked it. I'm like, how am I gonna, remember all of this? But somehow I got out on the stage and it just all flew out of me. After a lot of anxiety, of course, I got up there and I just did it. And I was like, you know what? I love this feeling. And it was so cool to, be applauded or for people to laugh. And it's just like this rewarding factor of entertainment, just making people smile and feeling like somebody, I guess. And yeah, I got into film a little bit later once I graduated. I went to Barbizon modeling and acting school and got my agent kind of through them. And I've been doing film ever since.
So did you always have like that desire, like even as a little girl, like did you always say, hey, I want to be on film? Like when you watch television, did you imagine seeing yourself on the screen too? Was it something that sparked as a young child in childhood?
I get asked that question a lot, and it's weird because no, but I did always want to perform. I had this urge to just put on for people. So me and my sister would like dress up and put on my mom's heels and grab a fake mic, and they would do home videos of me and her like lip singing these Tamia songs and whatever's on the radio that we liked. And I think that's how it all started. And then that kind of went on to talent shows, and then that went on to dance class, and eventually I figured out where I really wanted to be, which is here. So yeah.
Wow. So I would say you're a New Orleans native, right?
Born and raised, 504.
Wow. So okay, so how did you go from this 504 sis, to being in these Disney films? What were the steps exactly? Like I know you mentioned you got this spark in high school, you're in a play, and it worked out, like you felt great doing it. And then you transitioned to going to the modeling school, Barbizon, which I didn't even know Barbizon still existed because I got a few years ahead of you. I did not know Barbizon like still existed. So I did not know. So I know you said you got connected with Barbizon and then you transitioned over to films. Like just walk us through those steps, because I know like people are going to tune in like, wow, I'm sitting here in New Orleans in the East on the 7th Ward, and they want to know how in the world can they go from that to where you're at?
Right. I grew up in the East. I actually just moved from the East to a different part of the city. But it's like, you can act anywhere you are. You can always travel to, if you book a role. But being in New Orleans is just so much better because we're surrounded by the work, I guess. But yeah, just to kind of circle back, I once I got my agent, it was just audition after audition. And for so long, I didn't hear anything back. And looking back, it's probably because I had a terrible headshot and resume and had no guidance whatsoever. And I was taking headshots with people who weren't really acting photographers and taking classes for people who weren't great teachers or actual real acting teachers. You fall into a lot of scams. A lot of people like to prey on the young dreamers. And, you know, I offer counseling for that, but we can get into that later. I do offer help just to help people get in the industry, to offer that handout, because I was lost. But over time and just practicing and going to class after class and auditioning, I started booking, you know, one-liners, two-liners. Oh, wow, I'm in 2 scenes in this film. Back to a one-liner. Oh, I booked a paragraph. Great. I have like 3 sentences for this role. And then I do it, and then I go home, and it's like months later, my whole family's on the couch waiting to see my one little scene, and they cut it. So it's like going through moments like that and months of not hearing anything back after audition, your skin thickens, you know, your skin hardens and you get a little tougher, and you're like, okay, do I really want to do this? Is this what I'm really meant to do? Is something wrong with me? And I feel like we all come to that question at some point when we start. And this was like a few years in, but I kept going. And eventually I booked 5 Feet Apart, which was a feature film, came out in 2019. They invited me to the red carpet in Los Angeles, went to that, and I got a lot of confidence. I was like, okay, I'm somebody. I'm on the red carpet. I have Getty photos, you know. It felt so good because I'd been acting for 10 years and didn't really get much recognition. It was like, oh yeah, she acts. But now it was like, wow, she's in a film on the big screen. She's on the red carpet. So I think that recognition and just like having those prayers answered gave me so much confidence to keep going and to keep pushing even harder. And so I get this audition for a one-liner for a pilot. I don't know what it's for. I'm working as a preschool teacher full time because artists have to pay bills and pay for headshots and classes. And my agent's like, yeah, you gotta get to this audition if you can. It's just a one-liner. I know you're working near the casting director's office. Can you just go over there during lunch? I'm like, okay, I think I have a shirt in the car I can change into the shirt. Boss grills me, but it's okay because I booked the role. And then later on, I find out that the role is Disney. And that threw me for a loop because I didn't know it until I booked it. I went in there auditioning, not knowing it was for Disney, just casually, like, you know, say my one line, get out of there. Had I known it was for Disney, I don't know if that would have messed me up. I don't know if I would have got nervous or tried to say it a certain way. But looking back, it just all worked out. And
hello? Are you with us?
Okay, guess what? Taylor and Mason are meeting us at the airport in the morning.
Oh my God.
What?
I know.
What? Wait, what?
Mason and Brooke broke up.
You're gonna do it.
Yep.
I wish I could be there to see that in person.
What are you talking about?
You know
Why are you
what?
laughing?
You know what I'm talking
No,
about.
I don't.
The one where you get your pimples
What?
and your little fake blush.
Shut up.
The lashes. Your lashes aren't that long in real life.
So
Okay,
annoying.
come on. Thank you for the burgers.
Okay. Bye.
I love you.
I love you more.
I love you.
Miss you.
Bye. Mwah. Use protection.
Thanks, Mom.
And then
Now that's what you get for putting itching powder in my bed. Okay, people, finish up. It's getting late.
What is with you two?
Is there a problem?
Nope, all good. Yeah, just hanging out. Actually, Becky, there is lots of problems. Starting with these two. I mean, you'd move in if you could. I've never even seen their parents.
Let's go talk to the manager.
You know what? Not necessary.
Yeah, I think we'll just get out of your way.
Manager's office is this way. Come on. No more games.
You're not leaving this office until you tell us how to contact your parents.
Hey, stop! Hey!
Wait, get back here!
Hey, Chris. Text me when you get off. We'll do breakfast.
How you doing, boo?
Great class today.
Thanks, Star. It was pretty good, huh?
Well, I was just gonna ask how things are going with.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. You're dating Mr. Graceful.
He doesn't need to know we call him that.
You told him about her by now, right?
Not yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to.
Okay, word of advice. The sooner you're honest with him, the less hurt he'll be. She's right. Just think about it.
Next
Bye.
week.
See you next class.
Bye.
You never asked.
And look, I think women should have the right to choose, but some need to choose a condom. I shouldn't have to pay for it.
You're not paying for anything.
It worked out. And once we filmed the pilot, a few months went by, and then my agent calls me and says, hey, it got picked up. The Disney series is now a series.
Wow.
Yay, I got one line on the Disney Channel. How awesome is that, right? Not thinking anything further. A few weeks later, we want to call you in and call you Becky. And now you have an episode, a few lines in an episode on top of the moon. Like, girl, I can't describe the feeling. And then later on, another call about more episodes. So it's just like, I don't know, surprise after surprise after surprise for me.
Wow.
Because it was not like, I'm going to be on Disney Channel one day. It was like, yeah, I guess if I move to LA, maybe one day I'll probably be too old by then. Doubting it, you know, and God was like, you better cut that out. You better know your worth, like recognize all the work you put in. So I guess I'm just reaping what I'm sowing.
Oh my God, you just said number one, like just mentioned, just knowing your worth, owning your gift, owning your talent. And I think an important thing that you just mentioned, how your mindset can really talk you out of things. You know what I'm saying? If you have like a negative outlook or think like there's no way, you know how many people probably are just, they're so talented and they could be where you're at, but they just think, oh, it's just not going to happen to me. You know, I'm scared. It's not going to work. You know, so just the fact that you have that outlook, I think that's also a reason why you're where you're at, which is absolutely amazing. So with acting though, and like I said, your story is just fascinating. What challenges, if any, have you faced acting? Are there any challenges as a minority actress that you've experienced? Like what would you have said, like maybe in the past, it's been like a decade, like some highs and lows that you've noticed just in the acting world?
Lots of highs, lots of highs. The lows come behind the scenes. The lows are when you study an 8-page audition, like I'm looking over here because I have a script on the table now, and you know, you take time off of work, or you know, you only have 2 days to do it, or you have another job or kids or whatever. Like a lot of people have factors in their life. Luckily, I don't have kids yet. And I'm able to focus on acting, but even then it's tough to put your all into a role, become this character. And usually the character's going through something like world ending. It's not just like, oh, hey girl. It's like, what are we gonna do? So it's stressful. And so you make yourself this other person and you put them through this experience in front of the camera until you get it right and you send it in, and that's it. You do all of that and then you have to let it go. And that's the hardest part, is enduring that and not hitting up your agent like, hey, did they cast that role yet? Or, hey, did you hear if, you know, why didn't I make it? Can you ask them what was wrong with my audition? It's hard not to do that. And it doesn't give you a great reputation as an actor if you do that. So you kind of can't. And you just got to sit there and wait. And you don't get an email saying, you did great. We're so sorry. We'd love you for the next project, but we had to go a different direction. You don't get that. You don't get anything. You get silence and you move to the next audition. And it's to the point now where I've had 4 auditions in the last 2 weeks and I can't remember one of their names because I have to just let it go. And people see my success. They don't see the grind behind it and all the no's and all the times I wasn't working. They just see, oh, you look this and this and this. You're taking off. And it's like, no, it's like I've worked 10 years to finally get a recurring role on a TV show.
Yeah.
Now, people say they want to be on TV, but is it like, are you willing to do that? How much do you love the art of acting, the actual craft? Or is it just, I want to be on TV? And then you have the people who feel like they can't because whatever reasons, you know, time is a big thing. You got to put a lot of time into it. Some people have children, like I said, jobs, people to take care of. Then you have the people who are like, I don't have the look. I just laugh so hard. I'm like, what is the look? Because on TV, you have some weird looking people unattractive, if you may. We have some beautiful people. We have people who look like everyday people, everyday moms, everyday dads, everyday parents, kids who aren't like striking. You know, art imitates life. That's what I tell them. I'm like, we need real life looking people. So there is a role for everybody despite your look. And if I could emphasize that enough, I would. It's people don't see it. They think you have to be glamorous and you don't.
Right.
You can just be you and bring you to the role and that'll be enough.
Right. I love that. So I know, like, obviously you're hometown girl and you mentioned a part about when you were coming up, how your mom and you guys would get the microphones and things like that. How important has it been to have like a support system with your family and friends? Do you have like a strong circle of people? Because as you mentioned, for all the success that people may see, a lot of people never understand the behind the scenes part, you know? So do you have like a strong support system?
You know, I wake up every day and I thank God that I do. And I owe a lot to them. I won't even take all the credit. I owe a lot to them. I remember there was a time, I think it was within that first or second year. And I was like, I'm not booking anything. I'm doing all these auditions. I suck, Mom. Like, they're telling me I need more training. Like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's stupid. She said, baby, I just paid for that box of headshots over there. She said, now you're going to use every one of them headshots for the next few auditions. And when you get rid of all them headshots and use them all up, that's when you can walk away. And before I got halfway through, I booked my first role. So it's like, I can't take all the credit, even though it is my job. It is not 99% me that has to do that work. But that 1%, man, that 1% is strong. You know, I have my mom and my dad together. My dad would drive me to auditions. My dad would come on set with me and like, you know, eat all the food and network and come back to me like, yeah, that's the director, that's the producer. Oh, and that's the actress. She the main one. She played on Lifetime. And he'd give me all the scoop. And then my mom, she'd come there and try to take pictures of the monitor when no one was looking because you're not supposed to. So I've had like a support team for a while to the point where like people were like, aren't you like 19? Why are your parents on set? I'm like, because they want to be. What you mean?
Right.
Even now, I'm like, come on set, please. Come visit me. I'm lonely in my trailer. But that's my people. And my best friend and my boyfriend read lines with me every time I have an audition, which is all the time now. So I don't know where I'd be without them. Probably paying someone to read with me each time. So the motivation and the support is real. And I am very thankful.
That is so good. Now, I know that you mentioned that you also work with helping aspiring actors on, you know, what to do and have that support system. Can you tell me some more about that? Like, how do you connect with younger people? Because it seems like a lot of young people definitely, they want to be in acting, but they don't know where to start. They may not even have that support system. Or like you said, there's some things that you probably would have done differently a few years ago had you known now. So how do you connect with people to help them so that they can avoid maybe certain pitfalls or just give them the knowledge that they don't have? So how do you reach out to people?
I think about all the skills and things you could have acquired by now if your parents said yes when you were like, I want to do this, or if they had the time or the money to. Think about like, I feel like I'd be like a gymnast rock star like I'd have like so many other things going on, but we end up right where we need to be. So it's never really too late to start. But I tell parents, I reach out to parents, and that's my way into reaching the younger people, because I'm like, hey, if you need someone, if you need help, your kid is already rocking at these plays and these videos, these TikToks, these skits. If you need any guidance, let me know. And I'll post it generally, and people will come to me and they're like, hey, my kid does this, does that. She wants to get into it. And it's so easy to get scammed. And it's so easy for people to say, hey, meet us in the mall. It's a local casting gig that we're doing, and we want kids ages whatever through whatever. And then your kid does an amazing job, and they charge you $200 for the callback. Come back and see us be filled with a room of casting directors and different agents and managers. Pay this much. Your child has so much potential. Take this class with us for $1,000. It's like, I've been through so much growing up that it gives me a sense of purpose and fulfillment. And I find that in acting and performing, but I also find it in reaching out a hand. And it's like, if I can help somebody, I feel like I'm helping myself. I know it's kind of weird, but helping pass Trina out, because it's like, if only you knew these things.
Right.
These things.
Right.
So I'm still learning, and whatever I learn, I give to my clients. Usually people start with me and we keep a relationship for about 3 to 6 months while they get it together. And then once they get an agent, they venture off into their own careers. But the kids, I have adults and kids, and the kids are awesome because they're like, oh, you're on Disney Channel. I know you, you're Becky. So they're really enthusiastic, which is cool because we're on Zoom. So, you know, there's only so much we can do with, you know, COVID, but
right.
Yeah, it's very fulfilling.
Wow, that's great. What are some of the common mistakes? I know you mentioned scams a lot, and I've seen that a lot just as a parent. I don't know if they still do it now, but I know like pre-COVID, that would be a common thing you hear on the radio. Oh, you've seen so-and-so on the Disney Channel, blah, blah, blah. We'll be at the blah, blah, blah hotel on Canal Street on Saturday, yada, yada, yada. Bring your child. Like, I've heard that a lot of times, and I've always like, oh, I know it's probably a good opportunity. Then I'm like, but then I've heard people saying, oh, it's a scam, don't do it. If you got to put in money, or if they ask you for X amount of dollars, it's a scam. What are some of the common, you know, misconceptions or pitfalls or scams out there that some people may typically, because I think that's the hard thing when you're trying to break into entertainment, to know what's the scam and what's not the scam.
Yes, which I feel like knowing somebody in it is always your best bet, because they've been through it and they can tell you. So they've already kind of got their foot in the door, and that's the hard part. The door is where all the scams are. So stuff like paying for an audition. You should never have to pay to audition for anything, ever. Ever. Another thing is, if someone says, I want to be your manager, I want to be your kid's agent, and they're charging more than 10%, walk away. Walk away. I was just paying a manager 15% and realized I didn't need to. It should have been 10. And that's me being green, still not knowing about management. I know all about agents, but I'm new to the whole management thing, because now I need a manager for the way my career is going. So I'm still learning. And as I learn, I give my clients all of that information. I have connections to acting coaches, casting directors, people who've been acting for years, who can give me answers even if I don't have them. So I can help you out in the right way. But they have people who will take your picture and call it a headshot by just cropping out your face while you look nothing like you do in person. So example, my first headshots were with an actress, friend of mine. We were 16, 17, and her dad was a photographer. He was like, I'll take your headshot. I take my daughter's headshots all the time. $400. Okay. I'm like, Ma, I don't know. She's like, well, you know, if that's what it costs, you know, we got to start somehow. I'm like, okay. So I straightened my hair. I put on makeup. I put on earrings. I put on a really low cut, cute little shirt. I'm 16, 17. Totally inappropriate. Even for me now in my brand, inappropriate.
Wow.
It didn't look like me. So when I say it was probably my headshots back then, it's because I'm turning in headshots from this girl who looks way older, way more mature, but I'm walking in like this. Hi.
Yeah.
So it's like, what? You don't realize you're doing stuff wrong until someone actually says it. So it took a long time before someone was like, you need some better headshots. And I'm like, what do you mean better? They're beautiful. Like, it's not about beauty. It's about being authentic. It's not about, once again, the whole wanting to look the part. I wanted to look the part. Not knowing that just being naturally me and wearing my natural curls, no makeup, would have booked me way more roles. And it started to once I learned better. I had no idea. So it's just little things like that you got to look out for. People don't tell you. Even like the way your resume is structured can make a difference, can make you look amateur. So you have to do things right.
Wow. Are there any challenges that you face specifically as a minority in Hollywood? I mean, I know like there's so many different stories that I've heard. What have been your personal take on that? Have you had some situations where you're like, oh, okay, this is due to my race, my color? Have there been, is this something that happens all the time? Like, how is it right now for minorities, especially women too? I know that's another separate category. Women in acting, so have you had any, situations happen just as a female and also as a woman of color?
As a woman of color, I've had maybe 2 or 3 instances, but I laugh because they're kind of funny and it's all you can really do. Like, okay, wow. So I'll share them with you. One of them is I booked an audition with hair similar to this style a few years ago. And it was for a Toyota commercial. And in the audition, they were like, yeah, rock out like you're listening to rock music. So I'm like shaking my hair and rocking out and stuff, right? And I book it. So I show up and it was like a half wig, with the half wig in a bag. And they didn't know what to do. Like I walked into the trailer once I got on set, once I booked the role and everything, and they looked so confused. And I was like, no one of color there. So I'm like, you just clip it in. It got like 3 little clips, bam, and then my curls blend in. And they did not understand what to do at all. Completely confused. Wasn't very personable with me. Hold on, honey, we'll be right back. Went straight to the director, brought the director in. We don't know what to do. She says her hair is in the bag, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
wow.
Like, do you not know what a wig is? Like, have you never worn a wig? I'm like, what the so it was just weird. Yeah, that was one of the times. And I guess that would count, right?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
And then
I
another
time, the actress I just published the episode. She mentioned just hair alone, how that's caused some issues with her. Just what look to have. Same thing as you mentioned, the look. So I know hair, is a big thing, obviously. So I'm sorry, what was your other example?
Well, and then being in the South, your hair frizzes up. So I'm on set and I show up with my curls. By lunchtime, it's frizzy. And I mean like total panic in the hair and makeup trailer. Just total panic. Just like, what do I do? I'm like, add water. We can't add water. I would never do that. I'm like, my hair needs water. It needs moisture. That's how it curls back up. And, I wasn't really being heard. So those type of things are awkward because you're like, I know my hair. It's not that hard. So being on the set of Queen Sugar was like, oh my God, a breath of fresh air. I felt understood left, right, head to toe when it came to just being, I don't know, handling my hair the way it should be. And there's no panic. There's no confusion. And I've been on sets where it was like that, but Queen Sugar stood out to me for sure. And I think it's because they had nothing but people of color.
Yeah.
And that was helpful, culturally. And as far as being,
and doesn't Ava DuVernay, doesn't she use like all women? Like, isn't it like all women on the set, like in the production and all that stuff?
There were 2 directors and they were both Black women. I'm actually really good friends with one of the PAs that is now a director for her show. Wow. And I'm just so grateful to hear her journey and what Ava DuVernay has done for her. So one day, hopefully I get to work with Ava again. But yes, it's been a journey, man. It's been kind of weird. And then you said women. being a woman on set, it was weird. My worst experience with that was one of my first roles in an independent film, where like I'm walking with the director to where we're shooting and where his wife and kids are in the tent and everything where we sit, and he's hitting on me as we're walking towards her, and I'm a teenager playing a younger teenager, so I look even younger, and it's just it made me sick to my stomach. I didn't want to look at him. I didn't want to go back the next day. And my mom and dad sat me down and talked to me, and I told my dad how uncomfortable I was, and he's like, I'm gonna be right there on set, don't worry, you know, I'm not going anywhere, and we don't ever have to work with him again. But now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, that's a normal thing. Like, he's done this to every girl that I've talked to that's worked with him. Wow. But the fact that I was so young, just, it scared me. It frightened me, being so new to the industry and experiencing that already.
You know, and I that when you mentioned how your parents would be on set, I said to myself, heck, they should be, you know, because like you never know. Like, you know, it seems like it would be a good thing to have, especially your dad there. It would give, especially your dad there, it would give you some level of comfort. Because I just feel like I've heard like some bad stories in acting and music. You know, there's some predatory people in these situations. So I think it's never a bad thing to have your parent there, no matter how old you are. I know it may sound far-fetched, but you know,
they won't even try it. You would think that, but my dad was like not on the actual set with us when it happened, but like near the trailers. So it's like if he was right there, maybe it wouldn't happen. And it's like how many young actresses fall into it and fall victim to it. Like, oh, is he going to find another actress to take my spot? Is he going to kick me off the movie? Or maybe he'll give me a bigger role if I like mess around with him. Or that's kind of hot, me messing with the director. Like, there's a lot of ways that can go when you're young and you know, you don't know any better and you just want to be on TV. So it's scary thinking about how many people experience stuff like that. It really is.
Right. That is scary. So let's lighten it up a bit. So what have been some of your most memorable projects? Obviously the Disney project sounds very cool just to be on that caliber of Disney, but what have been some of your most memorable moments? Positive memorable moments.
Right. Let's see. Oh, for NCIS, I got to enjoy a St. Patrick's Day parade with Lucas Black, the main character of the show, because we were filming in the CBD of New Orleans and no one knew there was like a random St. Patrick's Day parade scheduled to ride up the street that we were actually filming on. So my scene is like walking up the street and I speak to him. Like I cross the street and then I speak to him. Well, the parade comes right through the street we're filming on where everything's set up around it. And the directors were like pissed at first, but then everybody had so much fun. And they just started like catching cabbages and beads. And Lucas gave me some beads. And I have this video of us like, I'm like, yeah. And he comes next to me. He's like, ah. So they're like, you know, New Orleans parade. It's like Mardi Gras, but it's not Mardi Gras. So they were having a fun time. And that was cool because it was a long, cold night. And I just remember thinking like, I just want to do my line right and get out of here. I'm freezing. And then that happened. And I didn't want to leave after that. I wanted to stay with everyone. Everyone just kind of warmed up and opened up and had a good time. So that was memorable for sure.
Nice.
I think of
what are some of your dream collaborations? If you had to like pick that dream director and also that dream actor or actress, what would be like just the top of the top? What person would you like to be on film with? Actor, actress, and director.
See, you asking me to be picky. And I
guess I'll phrase it. Is there like your dream collab? Like if you have to say like, and it could be, you don't even have to confine it. Like let's say that's this dream collaboration you would love it. And it could be either director, actor, actress. Is that one dream person you would just love to collaborate with?
Great, you narrowed it down. Now I got to really.
Yeah, I made it for you.
It's really hard. There's so many people, but you know, since we're in the spirit of talking about Black women and you know, just like encouragement and everything, I think Ava DuVernay. I'd want to work with her again one-on-one. I really would. I want to dive into her world. I want to be in one of her projects, and I want to rock it. Another person, you mentioned I was in a Tyler Perry film, but that's not actually a fact.
Okay.
I was in a movie produced by Tyler Perry's main actor in If Loving You Is Wrong. He branched out to produce his own film, and I'm the lead in that. So my second choice, if I could squeeze a second choice in there, would be Tyler Perry, because the man he is. The man he is, his story, the way he moves in general as a person, as a director, as an artist, phenomenal. And if I could just be in his vicinity, I'd be happy. So I'm praying on that day that he calls me up and he's like, I got a role for you, girl.
Oh yeah, Tyler, to me, especially, and I'm slightly biased because he is from New Orleans. I feel like Tyler's that type of person. Like, man, you can just touch the hem of his garment. You know, like I'll have what he's having. He puts his name on everything. I mean, and just to see where he's come from, just from the plays. I remember when I first started watching his plays, God forgive me, on some bootleg DVDs, and like my mom brought him to me, and I was like, well, who is this? Because I never heard of him. And I watched, and I was like, wow, and just to see where he's come from, you know, Tyler has definitely just made it. And from what I've heard, he puts Black women on the map. Like Taraji P. Henson said that was the first time that she was actually paid, you know, working with him on I Can Do Bad All By Myself. And she had already been an Oscar-nominated actress, and said I think she only got paid like $50,000 or maybe even less than that from The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. But then, you know, when she got with him, she said that was the first time she had been like truly paid for our roles.
It takes someone to invest in you, and he's invested in so many people, including Tiffany Haddish. And this man, in my head, he's just, I don't know, he's a top tier of, you know, inspirational directors, actors. And to, you know, I don't know, back then people made a lot of jokes about him because of the whole Madea thing. But the more you really look at it, it took so much courage.
Right.
So much belief in himself to even put one of those plays out there, let alone a string of them, and then to take them to the level that he has and to branch out. I mean, he has his own island now at this point. It's like you really went from homeless to this, and you're from my home city,
right?
Black man, and you ventured out of the gender norms. Come on, like who else has done that? So for sure, I gotta give him his props.
Oh yeah, and Tyler, I know, put some money in people's pockets. I was binging Sisters because I had never watched the show, so I was like, let me binge it. And it was like season 1, episode 27. I was like, damn, you know, like it was like so many episodes just in one season alone. I was like, goodness, I'm like, I know these people probably just work like day and night, but in a good way, like they're, you know, being gainfully employed, because he doesn't even skimp on his seasons. I was like, God, how many episodes is in this? Because I'm like, I've been watching this for almost 2 days, and I'm like, I'm still in season 1. So I'm like, wow, Tyler really, he puts it out there. And I mean, we're talking back to back, and I'm sitting there watching it like, oh, wait a minute. Season 3 starts next in June, and it's like it just ended in March. I'm like, he doesn't play around. So like, yeah, Tyler is the one. And from, like I said, I heard he puts us on the map.
He does. I've heard so many personal stories too. Like people say, oh, my friend this and this person this, did you know this person that? And I'm like, I didn't realize how generous he was. And then as an actress, when you're telling me about all these episodes, all I could think about is residuals.
Yeah.
Yeah, he takes care of his people, and I really applaud it.
Yes. So I know, like you said, you have a heart for just reaching out to younger people that want to get in that field. So let's say like an aspiring actor or actress, either young or old, tunes into this episode and they get some inspiration, obviously, from hearing your story. What would you tell that aspiring person who, like I said, they have the heart for it, or they just maybe clueless as to where to start, or they may not have enough confidence? What would you say to motivate them?
I would say that your individuality, the thing that you think is making you so weird, the thing that you hate about yourself, the thing that people pick on you for, is going to be the thing that helps you make it if you just believe in yourself and use it. Keep knocking on that door and it's bound to open.
Ooh, yes. I love it. So as I mentioned to you, and this is also a heads up for the viewers and the listeners, I have normally ended the show with how do you define a queen. I want to branch out from that. So I actually want to ask you something different. So I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm giving you something different. I want to ask you, instead of asking how do you define a queen, I want to just get your definition of something different. Now, obviously, we've discussed trailblazers, and you're a trailblazer in your own right. Like I say, you homegrown. Especially when I talk to people from my hometown that's accomplished these type of goals, it just gives people an extra level of pride. Like I just met you today, but it just gives me like an extra level of pride. So it's like, damn, she's from New Orleans. It's just something about, when people meet each other from their own hometown and they see that person has accomplished something great, it just gives you a sense of pride. So we talked about trailblazers. Obviously, we've talked about Tyler. We talked about Ava DuVernay, who's a freaking giant in her own category.
Yes.
She's definitely a force to be reckoned with. And another person who puts Black women definitely on the map. I love it. So I would like to ask you, Trina, instead of how do you define a queen, what's your definition of an innovator and a trailblazer? If you had to define a trailblazer who just fought odds and just done something great, how would you define a trailblazer?
Endurance, having endurance, being able to endure those times where you don't feel your best, those times where you don't do your best, and those times where people try to bring you down. If you can endure those things, you can keep going. If you can keep going, you can be a trailblazer, because if you keep going, you're just going to go faster and faster and faster, because you're attracting as you go. And I truly believe that. The more I started believing in myself, and I got a little bit of confidence from booking this role, and a little bit from this one-liner, and a little bit from being a featured extra on this commercial, and you start building that momentum. And when you're taking bits and pieces from stuff that you love to create that momentum, you're going to take off regardless, because you love to do it. But there are a lot of people who just hit a brick wall all because they don't really love what they're doing. They're doing it for other reasons, shallow reasons. But when your love is deeper than that, when you really just love to do what you're working towards, you're gonna take off. And I truly believe that, because you're attracting it more and more as you go. You're believing in yourself more and more, and you're using each opportunity to put yourself out there. But before, I can tell you, my road was short. Okay, I was moving slowly. I was scared. I was still going to auditions, but freaking out, and then going home and beating myself up. I should have done this. I should have done that. And then I learned, okay, once I booked the role, I was like, somebody liked me. I can act. And then after a while, I got into more and more classes, and it was just like, Trina, you have something, but you have to use it. And you have to use Trina in order to use it. So I didn't get that. And it was like, you really acting is like a test in oneself. If you're not a strong person, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know your strengths, your downfalls, what makes you weird, what makes you unique, it's going to be harder for you to act, because it's going to be harder for you to bring those things in the role. So learning that really helped me out a lot. It helped me endure it, because I'm like, okay, I can be me, even though I'm being Sarah, right? I can bring some of Trina into this, and that's okay. It wasn't like, and I say this all the time, it's easy being a character. It's hard being Trina. It's confidence to be yourself. But for me to just play someone else, sure. I'll go in front of a big old audience and not even stutter. But if you like, oh, we want to ask you a few questions. You're on Oprah. About me? So like even now these interviews, I take them as practice, because the more I do them, the more comfortable I am talking about who I am. And the more you can do that, the more you know who you are. If you know who you are, you can endure it. So don't get lost trying to be an actor. It's another piece of advice. Don't get lost trying to be an actor for the glitz, the glam, the fame, because it is so much hard work behind that. And you might end up being a great director or a great writer. Really follow what you want to do and endure it, and you'll be a trailblazer.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation. And I really do hope that people tune in and take some gems, some nuggets from this beautiful young woman and understand, like she just said, anyone can fit a character, but it takes true confidence and self-love. Everyone knows I talk about self-love, to truly be yourself and to just accept your quirkiness, your weirdness, what you may think is weird and crazy. It's something that honestly makes you unique. It makes you special. It makes you who you are. So in anything that you choose to do, whether that's to be an actress or a writer or a producer, a creator, whatever it is you want to do to make yourself happy, just make sure you own your inner worth, know who you truly are, value yourself, and truly, truly, truly love yourself. So once again, I want to thank Miss Trina Lafargue. And before we end everything, tell everyone how they can follow you. Definitely tell them how they can tune in and watch the Disney show. Just give everyone all your information.
Well, as far as the Disney show, the name of it is The Secrets of Sulphur Springs. It's now on Disney Plus. Full season 1 is up there. Season 2 is now beginning production. So I know the cliffhanger is going to be a big one, but we're filming a season 2 soon. So crossing my fingers that they call my character Counselor Becky back for that. And as far as contacting me for Tips with Tree, which is my counseling business, or just contacting me in general, shoot me a DM, shoot me any questions you guys may have. My Instagram is at Trina Lafargue. So I'll spell that out. It's at TRINALAFARGUE.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. And guys, please make sure you guys go follow her. Go ahead and tune into Disney Plus. Everyone has that Amazon Fire Stick and that Disney Plus app. I know I do. So make sure you guys tune in and support this beautiful young woman. And also, guys, this episode, you'll be able to catch it on YouTube and also listen to the audio on all streaming platforms. So just go ahead to www.thekeychat.com and stay tuned. Thank you guys again for joining the show, and we'll see you soon. Go love yourself.